Well, the basic message that Design for Change tells everybody is that children are not helpless, that change is possible, and that they can drive it. So it's the shift from children believing I can't to I can. I think Design for Change should be the curricula of the world, because education is about telling our children that they can make the world a better place, right? For 15 years, if a child is in any school in any part of the world, I think the one belief we want them to leave and graduate with is that I can make the world a better place, right? I mean, that's why we are in education. And Design for Change and the 4 steps is really helping them believe that. Not by chance that they can make the world a better place, but by a definite process. I mean, some of my partners have called it a recipe for I can, you know, or a formula. So for lack of any, but when you say, okay, what's the formula for getting children to believe they can make the world a better place? Is Design for Change. Feel, imagine, do, and share. If education and educators can believe that that is a process by which they can change their behaviors, they can change the choices that they make, equip pedagogy of teachers, all of it falls under these 4 simple steps. It's just 4 steps, and everybody can say, I can. Well, I think what has surprised all of us and humbled all of us is that how wonderfully easy it was for the world to say, this makes so much sense. I think in 2009, when I shared it at the TED talk, I remember Design for Change was just in India that year. We had just proposed it and we had reached out to 30,000 schools just in India. And then it traveled the world because everybody said, oh my God, it's so simple. And I think what we shared and we offered to the world was a simple process that everybody knew in their heart that this made sense, but we didn't quite know how. And here was Design for Change telling you why and how to make this happen. So I think we in Design for Change are just so humble when we see the stories come back to us from Peru, and we see a story come to us from Nagaland, or we see a story come to us from Russia. You kind of say, oh my God, how amazing the children are. And we get such pride to share their stories. So we're storytellers now. Design for Change is really storytellers. And we are telling the world that these are your superheroes. These young children, whether they're 11, whether they're 9 years old, whether they're 13-year-olds, telling us adults that they can make the world a better place. So it's been just marvelous. One story was very moving. We got the story from Taiwan. There was this little boy called Jack. He was visually impaired. And the story of change was this child called Jonathan, who was Jack's friend, who decided that Jack had become very shy because he couldn't see anybody. And so he'd become a very shy boy. So Jonathan decided that he will call all his friends and send them a note saying, can Jack touch your face and become friends with you? All right, simple. If you want to, come. If you don't, no problem. And around 70 people came, and Jack touched their face and started getting a lot more confidence that he could make friends. 4 years down, Jack sent us a video to say that that moment was life-defining for him. Today, Jack has finished his college. He's become a trained masseuse because he does massages now, and he's taken up violin. He says that moment of change, that he was no longer different and that it was okay that he was visually impaired, became a very, very strong moment. So I think for us, these stories are the reason why we have to continue taking Design for Change. It plays a very important part, but it's not the only part it plays. Because I come from India, right? In India, so many schools don't have technology, right? So Design for Change is inclusive because storytelling can happen in so many forms. Some of them tell us a story just by writing it and sending it back to us. Some of the stories come to us as just photographs. Some of the stories come to us as videos. So I think we're true to the storytelling, but yes, technology allows us to share it with a wider audience. So we use technology to be able to become storytellers, to share the stories. But what we have realized is that the stories have to come to us from any form that is true to the child. So we continue to get stories that are just there's a school that comes to us and just tells us the story. So it's a verbal, oral story. Some of them are written. So I think we still collect stories because they're important, but technology allows us to share to the world. I think that is an enormous role that technology plays. Well, approach was a simple story again. I remember in 2007, I used to take the children from Riverside School into the city and tell them to do street plays and tell them to go and do work in the parks. And I remember the adults would keep telling, children are noisy, children should be quiet, children should be in the school, don't take them outside. I said, oh my God, how can we as a society not take care of our children? How can we as a society tell our children that they don't care and they don't matter? So that became the story. Actually, the children came to us and said, ma'am, when we go back home, we only stay at home. We're scared to go out into the parks. We're scared to go out into the city because it's not safe anymore. And I think no society should tell its children that they are not safe. And so that became an important dialogue we had with the municipal corporations of the city, with the police, with the organizations, with the citizens, to say that every city and every society has to take responsibility of childhood and of its children. Because one day that child is going to become a citizen of the city, right? And that's the story that will keep on being nurtured. So in 2007, we went and approached the municipality, the police, the institutes, and said, we have to make the cities child-friendly. And that started. We started closing down the busiest street for traffic and making it into a place for children. The parks became alive again with laughter of our children. Big corporates and services started opening up their hearts and their doors to the children, because I think that's one thing that no city actually plans for. So yes, approach started in 2007. Today it's 7 years down. The city has adopted this as an idea. It's gone to other cities around the world. And in Ahmedabad, we have the very first child-friendly zebra crossings anywhere in the world. It's in Ahmedabad. Oh, becoming a mother. I think Eric was sharing that for every job we need a degree. I think when you become a mother, it's the only job in the world you don't get prepared for. And then you become a mother, and then you're supposed to be a good mother. What does all that mean? And I think these choices make us more scared, because I think parenting is a very, very emotional and scary space to be in, because you're always hoping, will you do right by your child? Will your child grow up to be happier than you? Will your child grow up to be more empowered than you? And I think that's the desire that every parent parents with. And I remember my child changed my life when he went to school and he would come back and my son has big eyes, okay? And he would look at me with his eyes and he would tell me, Mama, I mean, he would show me the work and I would get angry at him and to say, Beta, you didn't understand what the teacher was saying. And he didn't know. He was just 5 years old. And some teacher was telling him that he's not good. He's not smart. And I said, no teacher can ever tell my son that, and I'm taking my son out of school. So I did. I took him out of school, and that's how my story started. And I think I would like every parent to believe that there is always choice, and sometimes the choice is you. So believe that.